I'd like to welcome you to Ironside Lunch and Learn. I want to give an honorable mention to our gracious host, Judah Menda and Ofer Mizrahi, for allowing us this use of the space, as well as sponsoring some of the meal. We also want to give an honorable mention to our sponsor, Hummus Factory, who every single week give us a nice portion of hummus, falafel, salads, all nice and fresh. We really appreciate it. It's very enjoyable. Also want to say thank you for all the people that came here in the middle of their day and came to learn with us. Very hard to get people out of their regular work schedule to come and learn on a Tuesday afternoon. So Shechem would say whoever's here. And for all the ones that are listening online and on Facebook, Shechem as well. This week's Parashat is Parashat Lecha. You have to understand, in the past, just a couple of weeks, thousands of years have passed. Just from Noah to Avraham Avinu was 10 generations. And we find ourselves in an action-packed Parashat. Parashat Lecha, we could spend weeks, months, years on this Parashat alone. I'm going to take you through a small little tour of this Parashat, all leading us to one little highlight, one little pasuk that I want to highlight in this week's Torah portion. But let's begin. The Parashat begins with Lech Lecha. It says, "Vayomer Adonai el Avraham, Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mbet avicha el haaretz asher eka." So Hashem commands Avraham Avinu to go from his land, from his birthplace, from his father's home, where? To the land that I will show you. Now again, you always want to put yourself in the characters of the Torah. You want to put yourself in their feet, in their place, and say, well, how would you react? How would you react if somebody tells you, hey, get up, leave Florida, leave where you grew up, leave everything that you know, and go. Go where? Go, I will show you. It takes a lot of emunah, a lot of faith. You gotta really, really believe in that person, or you gotta really, really believe in God to be able to just get up and go and say, yes, lead the way. Wherever you go, I will follow. So Abraham right now is in this type of situation. He's going into the unknown. And this is one of the biggest emunah building exercises that Abraham is going to go through. The emunah building process has begun. Abraham now is set out to just go where Hashem leads him, which we should learn from this. This is how should we carry ourselves every day. Abraham continues on this journey with the promise. Hashem says, "Ve'asecha legoy gadol, va'avarechecha, va'agadela shimcha v'yeh beracha." He gives them a promise that he'll have a promised land. He'll have children. He'll be a goy gadol. Avarechecha, I will bless you. Agadelecha shimcha, I will make you famous. I will enlarge your name. I will make you well known. V'yeh beracha, and you will be a blessing. And the journey begins. Avraham Avinu accepts the challenge. He picks up his wife, all his belongings, and all the people that were accompanying him, or as it says over here, all the people that they converted, and they set out on the journey. And the journey goes that it's Avraham, Sarai, Lot, and all the people that are coming along with them, and they go from Haran to Canaan. From there they go to Shechem, to Elon Moreh, and they bounce from place to place, to Bet El, to Negba, to the south. And keep in mind that Hashem promised Avraham Avinu all these blessings. Meanwhile, he's not finding the place. He's going from place to place. He's seeing where he eventually might end up, but he's not able to settle anywhere. In the middle of the parasha, we find out that there's a famine in the land. And Avraham Avinu is forced to go down to Mitzrayim in order to break the famine. And when they get to Mitzrayim, they get to Pasuk Yudav, which says, welcome. Vayi כאשר הקריב לבוא מצלמה ואומר לשרי אשתו, הננה ידעתי אישה יפת מראה את. He tells his wife, we're nearing Mitzrayim, this totally corrupt city, and I'm noticing that you're a beautiful woman. ויכירו אותך המצרים ואמרו אשתו זאת והרגו אותי ואותך יחיו. And if they notice how beautiful you are, the Egyptians are going to grab you, and then they're going to kill me and take you for them. Later on, the Egyptians do take Sarai, and to take her all the way to Paro, in order so Paro should have her. Pasuk Yudchet continues to say, ויקרא פרעה לאברהם ואומר, מה זאת עשית לי? למה לא הגעת לי כאשתך היא? Because as soon as Sarai came into Paro's palace, he started to get makot. He started to get all these punishments, and he didn't know where it came from. Eventually, he realized because it was Sarai. He asked Avraham Avinu, why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? I would have left her alone. למה אמרת אחותי היא וקח אותה לי לאישה ואתה הנה אשתך כך ולך. He says, you know, you should have told me this. I wouldn't have taken her as a wife. Take her, release her. And then it says, ואברהם כבד מאוד במקנה, בכסף ובזהב. Paro, it says over here that ויטב לו בעבורה. It says that a lot of the goodness that came upon Avraham Avinu was because of his wife Sarah. And not only that, once they left Egypt, they left heavy. ואברהם כבד מאוד, he's heavy laden. במקנה, which is cattle, בכסף, money, ובזהב, gold. So he was a wealthy man at this point. I one time heard Rabbi Mansour in one of his classes teach this beautiful way of learning this one. It says, "V'Avraham kaved meod b'mikneh b'kesef hazahav," meaning V'Avraham kaved meod. He was super heavy when it came to money, when it came to cattle, when it came to business. He was kaved. He wasn't interested. He was a spiritual being. He wanted to just be Torah, mitzvot, maasim tovim. When it came to that, it was meod kaved. It's a different way of understanding it. But you see that Abraham now is going through this journey. He returns to the Negev, and there begins a feud between his cousin Lot and the sheep herders of Lot and Abraham. And they split ways, as the Pasuk says over there. He says, the whole land is in front of you. Really, let's separate ways. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. Let's just split up ways. And we see that Lot ended up going to Ariakikar Sodom. He went to a very corrupt city of Sodom V'Amorah, as we know. And Abraham went to Canaan. So Lot went to an environment of being around Abraham, a tzaddik, to where? To Sodom. And what did they say about Sodom? V'anshe Sodom ra'im v'chot'im Hashem me'od. They were wicked people that would sin to Hashem constantly. After this split up, Kadosh Baruch Hu gives Avraham Avinu an additional promise. He says, "Ki et kol haaretz asher torah lecha et enena ozarcha ad olam, ושמתי את זרעך כעפר הארץ אשר אם יוכל איש למנות את עפר הארץ גם זרעך ימנה." He says, I'm going to make you into a big nation. Look at all the sand, look at all the land in front of you. You won't be able to, this whole land is for you, and you won't be able to count your offspring. He gets an additional blessing in this Parashat, and he stations himself in Hebron. Hebron, where now in Israel there's always a lot of altercations. Avraham Avinu once stepped foot in that city. And we come to a very famous battle. The battle of the 4 kings versus the 5 kings. So during that time, in the land of Israel as we know it, there was a war. There was a war between Amarphel, the king of Shinar, Arioch, the king of Elasar, Kedarlaomer, the king of Elam, and Tidal, the Melech of Goyim. Those were the 4 kings that fought. They went versus Bera, the king of Sodom, Birsha, the king of Adama, Bera and Birsha were the kings of Sodom, Shinav of Adama, Shemever, Tzivuyim, and Bela. And they get into this war, and in the process, the 5 kings rebelled against the 4 kings. The 4 kings were always in control. The 5 kings rebelled against them. And one of the battles was in Emek Hasidim, which is known as Yam HaMelech, the Dead Sea. And during this little battle, who gets taken captive? Abraham's cousin, Lot. Now, comes Hapalit. Who is Hapalit? Hapalit means like the person that escaped. Og Melech HaBashan. Og, he's not known as Melech HaBashan, he's only known here as Og. Og was a giant. He was a giant that lived for thousands and thousands of years. And he came to tell Abraham that his cousin, Lot, is now captured in Sodom and he needs his help. You know, in last week's Parashat Noach, we know that only Noach's family made it from the flood. Where did that giant come from? How did he make it? I think a couple of years ago we gave here a beautiful class about Og Melech HaBashan and his whole history. But he was part of the Og. The way that he survived is he hung onto the boat and he made an agreement with Noach to feed him through the window. That's how Og survived. And he survived for thousands and thousands of years up until he got killed by Moshe Rabbeinu in the desert right before they went into Eretz Yisrael. There's a lot of history behind this Palit. Sometimes there's a small soldiers. Some say it was just Avraham and Eliezer, because Eliezer, the gematria, the numerical value of the word Eliezer is 318. Some say that him and 318 soldiers, or just him and Eliezer went, and they were able to defeat the 5 kings, and they were able to save the 4 kings, and Avraham Avinu was able to save Lot. And during the process, he amassed vast riches again. And right after this war, in the middle of all this, there's a small little pasuk that talks about Malkitzedek. It's a king that meets Abraham, and Abraham sits down with Malkitzedek, and they have bread and wine, and Malkitzedek blesses Abraham Avinu, and the Parashat continues with more. Like I told you, Parashat Lecha is fully loaded. I'm just giving you like an overview of what's going on over here. The Parashat continues with Hashem revealing to Abraham that his kids will be enslaved for 400 years, then there'll be a Geulah, and they'll come out with great riches out of Mitzrayim. Then there's the Brit with Abraham, the Brit Milah, the circumcision of Abraham. There's also the whole story of Sarah, where she's barren, and that she takes Hagar, her maidservant, and Hagar has a child with Abraham. Ishmael comes out of that, the father of all the Arabs, comes out of that whole union. Avram and Sarai go through a name change. They become Avraham and Sarah instead of Sarai and Avram. They both got a hey in their name. Sarah gets the announcement that in 1 year she will have a boy. At the end of the parasha, we have Sarah expelling Hagar and her son Ishmael. And that ends the parasha. So you can see there's so much going on. But one thing sticks out. I understand that Abraham is on his journeys, going, from one place to the other. He adds people, he drops some people, he goes one way, he goes another, he gets into a war. The whole thing with the way that he's, the blessings that he's getting, and how his family is growing. What is the deal with this meetup with Malkitzedek? Why do we need to know? It's one pasuk. It's only one pasuk in the parasha that says that Malkitzedek met up with Avraham. They ate. He put out bread and wine. He gave him a blessing, and he continued. Let's look a little bit into it. It's right before Aliyah Hamishit. And the pasuk reads like this. Malkitzedek Melech Shalem Hotzi Lechem Vayayin V'hu Kohen Lech El Elyon. And Malkitzedek, the king of a place called Shalem, Hotzi Lechem Vayayin, he took out bread and wine. V'hu Kohen Lech El Elyon, and he is a Kohen to the Almighty, to the Heavenly God. ויברכהו ויאמר ברוך אברהם לאל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ. And he blessed him, that blessed is Avraham, blessed is the Lord, the one who owns or is in charge of שמיים וארץ. וברך אל עליון אשר מגן צריך בידיך ויתן לו מעשר בכל. And he blesses Hashem again. Is Malkitzedek. Who is this character that we have here in this parasha called Malkitzedek, who is the king of Shalem? Rashi tells us, Malkitzedek, Midrash Agada, hu Shem ben Noach. He is Shem, the son of Noach. So you have to understand, he's very old. This is now over 10 generations have passed. This is one of the few people that survived the flood. It was Noach, Shem, Ham, Veyafet, and their children. This is Shem, Noach's son. Which, by the way, he is from the famous yeshiva of Shem Ve'ever that all our forefathers learned in. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov all learned in a special yeshiva called Yeshivat Shel Shem Ve'ever. This is the Shem. Here he's named Malkitzedek, but it's the same one. The son of Noach, Shem. He brings out Lechem V'yayin. Rashi tells us, why would he bring out bread and wine? He says, Kach osim le'geim milchama. He says, that is the custom that you do when people go to war. After they come back from war, what do? You feed them. What do you feed them? Bread and meat. So since Avraham Avinu just came from a big war from beating all the 5 kings, all the 4 kings, actually as a matter of fact all the 9 kings, he gave him the customary meal of Lechem V'yayin. Also, She'en b'libo alav shehareg et banav. Also, he wanted to let him know, I don't have any ill will towards you, even though you killed my sons. Who were Malkitzedek's children? Well, remember all the list of the kings that we mentioned? So one of the kings is Kadal Omer, and that was Shem's son. And even though that Abraham killed him, he says, I have no ill will. I know he's a wicked man. I know he was a bad guy. So come and eat with me, come and feast with me. No bad blood between us. No animosity that he killed his children. Secondly, the reason why he brings over bread and wine, Rashi lets us in on a big secret. He says, "Umidrash Haggadah ramaz lo al hamnachot v'al hanesachim she'akrivu sham banav." For the offering, the mincha offering, and the wines that they are going to bring as a korban, over there, his children. Where is over there? Shalem in English is Salem. Where is Salem in Israel? So the rabbis tell us that Malkitzedek was Melech Shalem. Shalem is Yerushalayim. That's where he was. He was in Jerusalem. But it says over here Shalem, We call it Yerushalayim. So, since we're on the subject, how did we get the name Yerushalayim? How did the city of Jerusalem get the name Jerusalem? Well, the first mention is here. Malkitzedek, Shem, the son of Noah, was the king of a city called Shalem. And where is this? Right on that spot of Jerusalem, where Bet HaMikdash is. That's that spot. The next time that we see a mention of this particular place in the world is also with Avraham Avinu in Akedat Yitzchak. In Akedat Yitzchak, right after Avraham Avinu goes through that whole test, it says over there, right after he sacrifices the ayil instead of his own son, it says, Vaikra Avraham Shem HaMakom Hahu Adonai Yireh Asher Yamer Hayom Be'er Adonai Yireh. He says he called that spot of Jerusalem, the same spot where he is right now with Malkitzedek, he called it Yera'eh. Why? He says because every time that the Jewish people, that my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, my great-grandchildren for generations are ever going to get into trouble, I want them to see this spot. I want them to see this spot. I want the Hashem to remember the spot where the Akedat Yitzchak was. So like that, the credit, the zicharon of what happened over here will serve them for ages to come. So he takes the word Yera'eh. So now we have the first part, Yera'eh, and the second part, Shalem. Yera'eh, Shalem. Yera'eh, Shalem. It's still not Yerushalayim. So how did Yerushalayim get the name? So if you take the word Yera'eh, how do you spell it? It's Yud, Resh, Aleph, Hey. Now you could take the Yud, Resh and keep it. But the Aleph, Hey, Aleph is 1, Hey is 5. You can combine that and make it into a Vav, which becomes 6. So Yud, Resh, Vav. So we get Yeru. And then Shalem. Yerushalem. There it is. But you tell me, no. It's not Yerushalem. It's Yerushalayim. So what's the difference? It says, Chazal tell us that Yerushalayim is two ways you can understand it. One is the Yud that we put in there is for the Yud Kei Vav Kei, because you got to have Hashem in Yerushalayim. That's his home. Or you could also learn it differently. Yerushalem is singular. Yerushalayim is plural. And why would there be a plural? Why would there be two Yerushalayim? Because there's a Yerushalayim below and a Yerushalayim above. There's another Jerusalem in the heavens above. Where? I don't know. In the high heavens, where all the angels live, that's where you'll find Yerushalayim. The physical Yerushalayim is here, and the spiritual one is in the Shamayim. So you see over here that this we got the birth or the beginning of the name of the city of Yerushalayim, with Avraham Avinu calling it Yireh and Malkitzedek calling it Shalem. So that's the start. The pasuk continues. What happens in Yerushalayim? We have Bet HaMikdash. What is destined to be in Bet HaMikdash? As Rashi said, Malkitzedek is telling him, your children are going to have a Bet HaMikdash over here, and they're going to come and they're going to bring nachot, they're going to bring offerings, and they're going to bring libations of wine. So, who is now in the pasuk? It says that he is Vehu Kohen Lecher Elyon. It says that Malkitzedek is Kohen to God. What do we typically do to the Kohanim in Bet HaMikdash? We give him Maaser. We go to the Kohen in Bet HaMikdash and we tithe. We give him all the Maasot from the Tevuah, from the crops. So what did Avraham do right away? He gave him a tenth. He gave him a tenth of all his earnings. He gave it to Malkitzedek. Why? Because Vehu Kohen Le'el Elyon. Who? So there's a beautiful distinction over here that we can learn out. It says, Vehu Kohen Le'el Elyon. He is a Kohen Le'el Elyon. Him, but not his children. What happened over here? This is very interesting. Malkitzedek, who is Shem, the son of Noah, who is a righteous individual. He was teaching Torah for generations. An old individual from the age of the flood, from the age of the Tower of Babel. He's going to see Abraham, he's going to see Yitzhak, he's going to see Yaakov. I mean, this is not a regular individual. When he came to see Abraham, how did he bless him? He blessed him. Vayomar Baruch Avram. First he blessed Avram. Then then he blessed God. He got it wrong. Instead of blessing God first, he blessed Abraham and then he blessed God. That's why when it says Vehu Kohen Le'elyon, what happened? Shem actually, at this very moment in Parashat Lecha, was going to be the Kohen forever and ever. Him and his offspring. He was going to be the Kohen for the world. Him and his children. But because he blessed Abraham incorrectly, Hashem took away the Kehunah from him. Took away the Kehunah from him. And later on gave it on to who? To Yaakov's children. The sons of Levi. We know that Levi had Amram, and Amram had Aharon and Moshe, and Moshe was a Levi, and Aharon became the Kohen Gadol, the first Kohen Gadol. So the Kehunah actually went to Aharon and his children, the Kohanim. But in Parashat Lecha, the Kehunah belonged to Malkitzedek. But the problem was, he didn't give glory to Hashem first. Which, by the way, is a big, big secret in life. The minute you put God first on your lips, everything goes right. If you ever want to know how to get saved from Ayin Hara, the first thing you say is Baruch Hashem, Imritzi Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Chazdei Hashem. As soon as Hashem comes off your lips first, no Ayin Hara can ever touch you. So we see over here that something got ruined in a way. Malkitzedek, such a righteous individual, lost the ability to do a kehunah. So Chazal tell us this needed to get fixed. How did it get fixed? It says, Chelek of his neshama came back. Chelek of Malkitzedek, of Shem's son, the son of Noach neshama, came back in Aharon. Why? Because he needed to fix what happened here with Avram and Malkitzedek. And where do we see this being fixed? You might not notice it, but it's something that we say every morning in Birkot HaShachar. It says, Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And Hashem spoke to Moshe in order for him to say, he says, Daber el Aharon ve'el banav lemor. He says, speak to Aharon and to his children and let him say it like this. This is the way you bless the Jewish people. So you know when we do Birkat Kohanim, how does it go? Yevarechecha Hashem ve'ishmerecha. Ya'er Hashem panav elecha ve'choneka. Yisa Hashem panav elecha ve'asen lecha shalom ve'samu et shemi al bnei Yisrael v'ani avarechem. You see that when Aharon came back to fix this mishap of Malkitzedek, what does Moshe tell him to say? When you bless, how do you bless? The first thing that comes out of your mouth is Yevarechecha Hashem. Where in our parasha it says Yevarech Avram. So that was the tikkun of Avram and Malkitzedek. We see it come alive in Birkat Kohanim. After this beracha, it says Vayten lo maaser mikol. A tenth of all his wealth. You know, the mitzvah of maaser is a very special one. Maaser, Hashem explicitly, it's a mitzvah that promises wealth. Anybody who wants to be rich, which is something that everybody is chasing, so interesting, Hashem says, you can be rich. You can be rich. You just have to do this one mitzvah. Hashem in Melachi says, he explicitly says, "Ubechanuni na bezot." Test me on this. You have to understand that no other mitzvah can be done in order to become rich. You're not going to keep Shabbat. Hashem, I'm going to keep Shabbat so I can be rich. Hashem, I'm going to put on tefillin so I can be rich. Hashem, I'm going to do chesed so I can be rich. There's no such thing. There's no deals. But Hashem says in Maaser, try me. Test me. It's written. He says, test me. Do 10% from your earnings and let's see if you don't get rich. Ubachanuni na bezot. What a guarantee. This is from God's mouth. Maaser. It's one of the hardest mitzvot to do because people are very connected to their money. And, you have to almost take a mentality that you are only an owner of 90% of your money. You really only own 90% of your earnings. The other 10% never really belongs to you. Hashem just puts it into your hand so you can pass it on to the right people. If you put that mentality in your head, imagine, not only do you become a giver, not only do you do chesed, not only are you doing what you're performing a mitzvah me'atorah, mitzvah d'oraita of giving maaser, but in return you get rich. Hashem says, test me on this. It's very, very tough to people that are tight. People that don't have money, it's hard for them because the little bit that they have, they need it to survive. Even for the rich people, sometimes they make so much, like, well, I make 10 million, I'm going to give away $1 million. You know how hard it takes to make $1 million? And then a person that has 1,000, you ask him to give 100. You know what's 100? That's the electric, that's the food. It's tough. On both sides, it's tough. So there's never like a nice ratio of number that maaser becomes comfortable. It's relative. But Hashem says, test me on this maaser, you'll get rich. As a matter of fact, they say, how do you preserve meat? You put melach on it. You put salt on top of meat and you can preserve it for a very long time. Back in the days, they didn't have refrigerators. The way that they preserve meat, they would preserve it with salt. So Chazal tell us, how do you preserve money? They say, melach mamon, the salt of money, chaser. He says the way you preserve money is by taking away. You want to keep your money? You want to be not only keep money, preserve your money, but also get richer? You have to take away from it. You have to do maaser. You have to tithe. Because what you do is once you become a person that gives, you become a kli. What's a kli? Here's a kli. A cup is a kli. So let's just say that you are the cup. Okay, I'll do it over here. Let's say you are the cup. And right now, the money is the water in here. So what happens? Hashem keeps filling up your cup with water. What happens? At one point, it's going to overflow. Right? We don't want the thing to overflow. So what do? You put a hole on the bottom of the cup. A small hole that constantly there's water coming down. So what happens? As long as you're pouring water into it, it's never going to overflow. Why? Because there's always something coming out from the bottom. That's maaser. Maaser is that you're always giving, and you're creating space for Hashem to keep you more. So there's a flow of abundance always coming in. You become a kli, a vessel. It's a big test of emunah, but it's well worth it. The last thing that we want to focus in, you see on the beracha, we focused in on the maaser. But it's very interesting. Why would the Torah go into these 3 pesukim telling us about Malkitzedek and Avraham and let us know what their menu? Very rarely do we know what's on the menu for people. Okay, so they ate together, they broke bread. But over here specifically, they let us know that Malkitzedek, the king of Yerushalayim at the time, brings out bread and wine. I would think it would be a lavish feast. Why just bread and wine? What is the hidden secret by bread and wine? Furthermore, you should know, on a separate note, maybe one day, maybe in the lighthouse, we'll do a more extensive lesson on the secret of bread. You have no idea what's behind bread. Bread is just not what we eat and something that make in a bakery. If you know the history and the background and what's behind and the 7 worlds and so much going on with bread, it has its own blessing. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. This is the king of all foods. One day, Be'ezrat Hashem will give a lesson on lechem. And even more so about the yain, the secret of yain. Also, it's a fruit that got its own blessing. Borei Priya Gefen. It's the king of all drinks. So these, just on their own, lechem and yain, much is to be said. But for this week's parasha, we see that we can learn a bunch of things from this little action of hotzi lechem veyain. So Avraham Avinu is known for achnasat orchim. Malkitzedek is known for Torah. So what's happening here? There's going to be an exchange. There's going to be an exchange of thought. There's going to be an exchange of learnings. So Malkitzedek was the first one to say, Avraham, you're known worldwide for achnasat orchim. Look at me, I'm learning from you. Here I'm coming out and I'm giving you bread and wine, which is basically, like we said, it's like the feast that they give for warriors after war. Avraham, in turn, is going to learn Torah from Malkitzedek. Malkitzedek is the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Shem Ve'eved. So what's the lesson that Avraham is going to learn from Malkitzedek? So there's a Gemara that says that a person up until the age of 40 should eat bread. After the age of 40, they should begin to drink wine. Why? What's the deep meaning behind this Gemara? It says up until 40, the body can process certain foods. After 40, it doesn't behave the same way. You gotta take it easy. People typically after 40 enjoy wine more than they enjoy bread. Let's just say that it's it's for a healthy lifestyle, pshat level. Lechem, bread, is only enjoyable when it's fresh, right? When it's made fresh, that's when it's enjoyable. After a day or two or three, see it dry or already moldy, it's not enjoyable. Lechem is enjoyable when it's fresh. Yain, on the other hand, is enjoyable when it's old, when it's aged. The older the wine, the more meshubach it is. So the lesson that Malkitzedek is trying to teach Avraham Avinu is that Lechem is the Torah learning. Up until 40, every day you need fresh Torah. Every day you need fresh. You can't have something stale. He says, and up until 40, you can busy yourself with all the learning of Chumash, Parashiot, Nevi'im, Gemara, Halachot. After 40, after you learn for so many years, what happens? You become stale. I know this already. So he says, after 40, after you busy yourself, where every day you feel like you're going to have fresh Torah in your system, once you get to 40, what do? You switch. You switch. After 40, something switches. It's like a person has two separate lives. The ones up to 40 and the one after 40. After 40, you switch to yain. What's yain? Yain is gematria sod. If you take the word yain, it's yud nun. 10, 50, altogether 70. Nichnas yain, yatsa sod. What's sod? Sod is samech 60, vav is 6, dalet is 4. Altogether 70. He says after 40, you guys start learning the sod. What's the sod? Those are the higher level learning. Kabbalah, you have high level things that you could learn. That's a person after a while, he needs more. Once you have the basis, you can't go back over and over. You need to go to a higher level. And that was the exchange. Malkitzedek shows him that he knows how to do achnasat orchim. In return, he teaches him the Torah that up until 40, lechem. After 40, yain. Similarly, on the same point, there's in Korbanot we read it. Korbanot, it says, ואת הכבש האחד תעשה בבוקר, ואת הכבש השני תעשה בין הערביים. בבוקר, in the morning, he says, says this is also the two lives that a person has. Up until, morning is usually when the person is young. Takev is echad. He says that offering that you bring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, baboker, that's one. V'takev es hasheni, and you, that new version of yourself after 40, ben arbaim. It's two types of services. There are two different services that a person has. Baruch Hashem, if somebody is in the Torah life from when they're young until 40, they understand. Once they pass 40, it's a different level. So, but both times there's different services. In order for you not to get stale in your service of Hashem, you have to flip. You have to switch. You have to switch your curriculum into something that your mind, your neshama, is more connected to. To the two different ways of serving Hashem. I thought that to point out, remember in the beginning of the class, we took about 15-20 minutes to talk about all these different events that happened to Avraham Avinu and Lecha. But yet we zoned in on one. A pasuk that you just might skim over. Oh, he met this guy named Malkitzedek, they ate bread and wine and move over it. Meanwhile, here we were able to discover that Malkitzedek is the son of Shem. He was from the Tevat Noach. He was a big tzaddik. He had the yeshiva. He was a kohen. He lost the kehuna. Aharon came and fixed it through the way that he's blessing now, that he gives honor to Hashem before he gives honor to anybody else. We learned over here the difference of lechem v'yayin, the importance of when to eat bread, when to eat wine, and how to learn it out through service of Hashem, the advice that Malkitzedek gave to Avraham Avinu. When is the right time to learn certain things that are on a daily basis, and certain times when you need higher, loftier learning. We learned also about Maaser, the secret to getting rich, as well as the birth of the name Yerushalayim. Now, sometimes a hidden pasuk in the Torah is filled with gems and lessons. But it's not sometimes, it's actually always. You just have to take the time to dig and dig and dig, and you find that underneath it all, there's a beautiful, beautiful storyline that not only do you understand the story, but so many practical life lessons to be learned. So, Be'ezat Hashem, Hashem Varech Otchem, Sameach Otchem, you have a great rest of the week, and when we say Lech Lecha, when you go on to your way, Be'ezat Hashem, you be successful in all that you do. Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.